Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while we are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below the video you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by the Adam Meakin, 10th Man, Neil, father of a stolen child, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
Good morning. Nottingham.
Nottingham?
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Well,
Hey,
good
good
afternoon,
morning.
Nottingham, I should say.
Good morning, USA.
There we go.
Good morning, Nottingham correspondent, for some reason. How you doing, Adam? Good to have you for the housekeeping. Any evidence of a physical, geometric, sphere edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
Well, we'll go with not in Nottingham.
Oui,
Well said.
We?
oui, yeah.
Tell us all about it.
I don't know if you heard of rhombus.
Yeah.
He tell me a curved tangent. You refract horizon, so it's physical.
It's refracted, it's not a tangent.
But it's a curved tangent.
That's an oxymoron. There's no such thing as a curved tangent.
Oh,
Oh. Well, thank you. Oh, he's gone on mute. That was clearly it. Well, it was comedic, if nothing else. Thank you very much. Any more on the former Earth curve edge horizon?
High priest is reaching out to everybody, explaining how a tangent don't have to be straight. It can be curved. Wow.
I mean, we knew that. They'd told us in the past that straight lines were curved. We just didn't know it'd get to the point where literally something that cannot be defined as anything other than straight, that would be a tangent, is curved. But that's what they're telling us. That's how mentally painfully it must be to be a baller right now. Hey, Alwyn, and hey, Paul.
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
We hear you.
Yeah,
Wait
yeah.
for Paul to say hello as
Okay.
well.
You're good.
So, did I hear right then? He's out there pumping his own form of what? Rumpclidian geometry. Now then.
Donkey dick geometry, I think you'll find.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Rumpus is a regular mathematician. Did you hear him last night on Brandon's? He was like really in math mode. He was so proud. And it was kind of beautiful in its own delusional little way. I was like, wow, man, he does have like a peak skill in that, you know? Too bad it's just also a lot of bullshit.
Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
oui.
Yes, it
We?
is things deviating due to Coriolis drift, and at the
See,
same
now that's
time,
my-
other things moving in lockstep.
See, that's my
Simultaneously.
problem. Why would you
we
give?
have a
why
we.
would you give Rumpus a freaking platform?
Hang on. Let's hear
We
this
have
other
another
guy.
we. Go ahead, my friend.
I don't know. You had a hurricane?
You have to repeat that.
Hurricane.
Say that again.
Hurricane? It's been opposite in hemisphere.
Hurricane. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Right.
But isn't that an actual deviation and not an apparent one?
Get the words out of my mouth.
This guy sounds like Flatfoot in disguise.
Arwin's got the question in. The correct response came from Arwin. Did you hear what Arwin said?
I don't understand.
Arwin, do you want
Well-
to repeat your question, please?
You say Coriolis effect is spotted in hurricanes. What in one part of the Earth it spins in one direction, the other part the other. But isn't a hurricane an actual deviation? There's something actually moving, right? Not apparently.
Oui. Oui. The wind it turn one side on north hemisphere and turn other side other hemisphere.
Okay. But do you know what the Coriolis effect is? Because
We with spin the bullet deflect.
Wrong.
what? No.
That's
No, it's
incorrect.
just an apparent deviation. It's not an actual deviation. It seems to deviate because another thing is actually deviating, namely the thing spinning underneath. Right?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Epic.
This
So
is too
just-
funny. It sounds like Flatzoid in disguise.
It's okay, just for summary sake. So the claim that hurricanes have a different actual spin direction in the north versus the south, begging the question hemisphere, is an assertion of actual spin directions, whereas Coriolis is a not actual deviation observed as you turn beneath things. So it's things in the inertial reference frame seeming to drift because you turn beneath them on, say, a roundabout. But that's a not actual deflection. Hurricanes have actual spin directions. So it's not an
Just,
effective claim to be Coriolis. Thank you, Arwin. Thank you. What's your name? Sorry. Professor something.
Professor Poisson.
Thank you, Professor.
Oh, yeah, poisson. Fish. Fish.
Fish? Fish?
Yeah,
Poisson, yeah,
Fish
fish.
in French.
Yeah, yeah,
Poisson.
yeah. I know what poisson is. Thank you.
I didn't know it weren't Spanish, Nath, you see, so...
I did
Poisson.
French when I was
What is it
12.
in Spanish?
I've done French lessons when I was a kid. Anyway, let's move on. My
What-
rudimentary
what's
understanding
that?
of French is definitely not the subject matter. We will move on because Professor Poisson may have some more answers to our housekeeping questions. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Oui. Poisson.
You have to pause for the giggles, I'm afraid, Professor Poisson.
Fish in Spanish is pez.
Pez-
Thanks,
got it.
Darwin.
Pescado.
The poisson, he feel gravity, and if no gravity, fish fly.
If no gravity, fish fly.
Oui. I have citation.
What's gravity?
Cool. Well, did you know there are flying fish actually named flying fish?
That's fascinating. I understand what he's driving at, though, and we all know what he's driving about in a very humorous way. Very succinct also, so I do appreciate it. Let's try and keep it that way, though. Okay, yeah, I get what you're driving at. You're saying if there wasn't gravity, fish would be flying around and floating around in the air. What is gravity?
It's the force it pull to Earth.
No, that's wrong. Sorry. That's 106 years out of date. Gravity is not a force.
Newton. He say a mass attract mass.
Okay, I just said that's 106 years out of date, but if we're going to do this anyway, that's fine. I don't mind. So, does, say, for the sake of argument, a steam particle or molecule have mass?
A buoyancy.
It has mass. And is it attracting other particles of mass or being attracted to the mass of Earth? Steam.
Uh, Pass.
No, the answer is no. So mass does not attract mass. I can debunk that with Steam. And it's 106 years out of date. So the 106 year out of date mass attracting mass debunked by Steam gravity has been replaced by Einsteinian bending of pseudo-Riemannian force space, which is definitely not mass attracting mass and definitely not a force. Okay, would you like some quotes?
Right.
Can
I add on
I
top of
post
that?
citation?
Yeah, sure. George Musa, quote, "Gravity is not a force," end quote. Later, when challenged by, let's just call it what it is, an idiot, about it being a force, he interrupted the challenge to try and claim it was a force with the following quote. "Literally, it's not a force," end quote, George Musa. If you prefer, Brian Cox. "There isn't really a force of gravity at all," end quote, Professor Brian Cox. I could go on and on and on. It's 106 years out of date, replaced by Einsteinian bending of pseudo-Riemannian force space. Not a force.
Okay, I post citation in live stream chat.
For what?
Fish gravity.
We just covered that. I asked you what gravity was, and you said it was a force that's holding the fish down. And then I asked you to clarify what gravity was. You said it was Newtonian gravity. I pointed out it's 106 years out of date. You then insisted that mass attracts mass in Newtonian gravity. So then I asked you if mass of steam attracts mass of steam or mass of Earth. Answer, no. Then we moved on to the replacement, which is Einsteinian gravity, which is not a force. And then I gave you several citations, but you still want to go back to your fish flying? No.
Nathan,
Okay.
could I just ask Professor Poisson a question? I think his name's very clever. Professor, êtes-vous un poisson globe?
No.
Is that not a pufferfish?
Is it? Yeah. Oui.
The point being, Nathan, in literal translation, pufferfish is poisson globe in French. I just thought kudos. Quite clever.
Cool.
I'd like to insert a point here about Newtonian gravity.
Why?
Because he never claimed the hypothesis, so it was never actually replaced. There was nothing ever to replace.
Spot on.
Newtonian gravity was only a part of his motion mechanisms legacy. It's a part of his laws, right?
That's
but
a
it
good
was
point.
never really physics, and he disclaimed that in a letter very, very firmly. Like, I don't claim a hypothesis for this. This is not physics.
No,
It's
you
just
bang
my
on. You
thing.
spot on. You spot on. I did ask, and I've just forgot myself what the question is. I've asked it so many times. It's almost become benign. It isn't. It's very pertinent. But no, we were asking for scientific evidence. Flying fish isn't that. Moving on.
Yeah. Flying
Anything?
fish, actually, what keeps them out of the water is momentum, because they have solids, and solids are subjectable to momentum. That's why they fly. They launch themselves out of the water with great force, with great speed, and then the momentum makes them go through the air for a period of time. Never forever, though.
And they remain neutral in water. And if they die, they float to the top, right? In other words, fish is a very bad example if you're going to assert a downward vector 9.8 meters per second squared. Well, fish don't really prove that when they're neutrally buoyant, depending on their swim bladders, I think. God, this is a long time since I've looked at fish. But they're just sort of hanging around at whatever height they're at. And I say height, they're not even giving it a second thought, right?
It's tough because fish, unlike mammals, don't breathe. They filter the oxygen out of the water, so they don't really have a changing average density as much. But if fish aren't eaten when they die, usually they just get snatched pretty quickly. But if they start rotting, then the rotting process will actually cause their average density to lower, which is what makes them float to the top. But as long as that process isn't happening, they're probably just going to float exactly where they are.
Know far too much about fish. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
The observational science.
Hypothesis, please.
Oui,
Constellation of Pisces?
No, a viable hypotheses. I'm going to start paying attention to my own questions before they get answered in a vague way that isn't actually the answer to the question. Is there any single viable hypothesis from any of those fields?
Just brought it back
oui,
to fish again.
Einstein. With I don't know. You remember Eddington?
Feel free to fill us in on the hypothesis.
He hypothesized the light will bend when the block, and later Eddington observed phenomena.
So what was the phenomena?
Light bend.
Phenomena is refraction.
Oui.
Okay.
I think the phenomena there was going to Africa with equipment that couldn't observe the phenomena and then claiming you observed it.
That's okay. What? So you're saying the dependent variable was refraction? Which field was this? Astronomy, cosmology, astrophysics? Which one was it?
Astronomy.
What?
Astronomy. And what was the independent variable in the hypothesis?
A light.
Light causes refraction. Profound. Refraction is light deviating from straight. Obviously, one of the constituent parts is that you've got light, so claiming that as the cause is utterly profound.
So we validated.
You're saying light is the cause of light deviating from straight. What if you've got light that isn't deviating from straight? You've still got the independent variable of light, and it's not deviating. So if you're saying light causes light to deviate from straight, what about when it doesn't? This is nonsense.
No light, no refraction.
Yeah, I said profound.
Right.
Is
Like
that
no
it?
gradient if no gas pressure. Yeah, that's cool.
Is that it?
Oh, okay.
So was this hypothesis actualized? If light, then light deviating from straight?
Not sure anymore.
I heard a rebuttal to this in a way.
What's it proving? I'm yet to find out what this proves. That we have refraction. Again, profound. Yeah, we know light deviates from straight. It can refract. Okay. How's this useful to the nature of our reality? In terms of astrophysicists' claims? I'm not really following what this proves. Maybe you can fill us in. Okie dokie then. Oh, sorry, my bad.
So I thought we finished.
Want to proceed? Huh?
Okay.
What?
I just asked him a question. See the answers.
The purpose of the question is because these fields assert that we are in a heliocentric world with a sky vacuum and lights with their astronomical distances as assigned in that model. That's the purpose of the question. Now, that isn't obvious when I ask the question, is there a valid hypothesis? But boshing together light causes light to deviate is, number one, not true. Light doesn't always deviate from straight.
I was told that in those fields they can only establish laws, that they don't perform hypotheses as rebuttals.
Okay. Yeah, they make up laws about what's going on in the sky. Totally unverifiable.
I didn't mean to randomly speak French here. I just asked him in French if he was really a French person, and he hasn't replied. So we'll see how we go.
That's okay though. It's good fun. It's all in the.
That's
the...
why I asked him whether he's.
Yeah, I know.
was,
Yeah, the blowfish. Yeah,
yeah, he
that was
didn't
good.
know what Poisson Globe was either, did he?
I've got to say, guys, it's good to be back. I've missed you all, so I hope you're all well.
Good to have you.
I could tell you that, bro.
Any
Welcome back.
evidence
Thank
of
you.
a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Are we all just waiting for a little wee?
Oui.
Of all the ones, I doubt I'll get an answer from him in this regard. It'll be
Oui,
this.
poo-poo.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
93 million miles.
And your evidence of that?
Triangulation. Aristophanes. Shadow.
R. Needs R. We've debunked R. Any more? Distance to the sun? Evidence? Beyond assuming an R value? To his credit.
Transit
Negative.
of Venus.
Here we go. There you go.
Transit of Venus.
So the application of Kepler's third law when observing the transit of Venus assumes you have a Venus that's in a heliocentric model based on an R that's assumed for Earth. So didn't I just cover this? Okay, let's move on. Any evidence of the R value?
No.
No.
I guess not.
But every claim in regards to heliocentrism is dependent on that R value being assumed. So without the R value, there is no heliocentric model.
We do not assume R is measured.
Excellent. Where'd you get the measurement of R from?
Oh my god.
No, it's okay.
Alberuni, he stand on a mountain. He draw curved tangent.
I was, you
This
made me
guy's
do it, Nathan.
definitely
I
on
was
our
just
side, isn't he?
Kissing myself laughing
he's-
on mute.
He's feeding me too nicely. You know, I suspect he's on our side.
Damn, you guys
So
called me out. You know how difficult it is to flip and I can't even speak French properly. I just had to do it.
Flat Floyd.
Je m'appelle
Funny-
Michel.
Who guessed right?
Flatside.
Someone guessed it. So who guessed it? Someone guessed.
Was it-
Tank,
was it
Tank.
Neil?
I'm telling him to keep quiet.
Ted Man had it right away.
Damn.
Ted Man had it, and I heard it.
Yeah, but
I just
also
wanted
said
to
in
get to-
French. Why are you trying to be a
I
fake
just wanted
French
to get to
person?
gas pressure.
Oh right. Oh, I ruined.
But it's
I
too
thought
late
that was
now.
I thought that was the apex of it. I thought that was the the high water
But
mark.
that's how. But that's why I wanted you to actually open a citation on fish and
Okay.
gravity. But I couldn't get you to it.
Oh, what was that? You French? Flatzoid being French.
Yeah, oui.
Was it? Really? Oh,
Absolutely.
Comment ça
I just
va?
had
Je parle
the whole day I've been
français
waiting for
petit.
this, and it was thanks to Rumpus last night in Jose that's telling me tangents are curved. Just because of that.
Well, I still see it as the high water mark.
They say that I can't speak French.
Yeah, je n'ai pas parlé français.
Yeah, je ne parle pas français.
je
And then they
m'appelle,
never
oh,
believe me. Surprise, surprise.
If you hadn't have said, I go up a high mountain, I draw a curved tangent, you'd have got away with the blag for a bit longer to reach gas pressure without a container.
I gotta
couldn't help
say, you
myself.
did really, really well.
You did
I was
really well.
confused
I'm-
at the
I'm
beginning,
gonna-
but I was
And
like,
by
nah,
the
I'm gonna
way-
ask this guy in French.
By the
if
way,
he's
these
really
are
French.
actual arguments I've had from Globus.
Yeah,
That's why I brought
that's
them
what I
up.
was saying. You're feeding me too well with too concise a version of the argument with a very quick concession when it actually reaches the end of the argument, and then we move on with total silence. It was too good to be true.
Yeah, but I wanted
Brilliant.
But
pressure
he did a
gradients.
good job
It's just
before
not coming.
that because he did kind of like take time to translate. It's typically a difficulty a lot of French people have.
Don't be racist. There's no need for just unnecessary racism to get thrown in there, right? Shout out to Julio Pabon, who says, shout out to Flatsoid, great job. But we will get to the housekeeping question that Flatsoid's been trying to get to the entire time he was role-playing as whatever it is, Poisson, or Professor Poisson. Any evidence that we can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Oui. If a blue, he bring a pipe, throw a butane, with other container and no container.
Okay.
You're not talking about a crack pipe, I hope.
No, he's talking about a pipe running up the side of Blue Marble Science house.
I remember that one, yeah. With the gas coming out the top. Yeah, that wasn't
very-
too close. There was a container, yeah.
So that's gas pressure without a
Uh,
container by way of two containers then.
You can make a vacuum chamber and pressure gradient, no chamber.
What the hell are we doing today?
Oh, man. This is a really good cameo. You got to keep doing it. It's funny.
I wonder if the French
You have no
bother
idea.
trying to
You have
sound
no
like
idea
that.
how difficult it was to talk this whole time. I was laughing my ass off.
It was great. I think that concludes the housekeeping, though. I think that's it.
I'm surprised you didn't include like a baguette or something. Like you said, the Earth is like a baguette or a croissant.
I
a fine line.
actually wanted to bring baguette into scientific evidence. Without the egg, you can't bake a croissant.
Egg, I love it. You got them all lined up. You got most of them in. Excellent. Yeah, that concludes the housekeeping. Thank you very much, Flatsoid. That was well worth it.
Glad you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
I'm glad you didn't know rumpusing in French.
Same. Rumpusing.
Rumpus?
Le rumpus.
Les rumpus.
Rampu?
Je m'appelle la Rombos, hein?
Rampu.
Speaking of rumpus, I edited out his little visit yesterday from the live show and edited it down to about 15 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. So I'll release that later on today, maybe just before the Uncut and After show goes out on the second channel. So what I've started to do is stick out a video at I don't know, 7:45. In this case, it'll go out, sorry, 8:45 UK time, PM. Start that again. 20:45. 15 minutes before the Uncut and After show go out on the second channel is when I tend to stick them out on the main channel, and then I'll send a link to the people who are in the whatever it's called premiering stream saying head over to the Uncut and After show for this clip. So in other words, it's like a precursor to the actual show. There we go. That'll come out later on tonight. Shout out to Chris Berry. Says Rumpus' favourite show is Rin Tin Chin. K9 Cop. Thank you very much, Chris Berry. Been a fun day.
I've got to say, coming back and seeing that meme of you with the rumpus is hilarious. I loved it. I came back and I saw it. I was like, that is classic. So good.
People just send them me. I don't make them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the most recent one I got was actually from a hater video. So someone had gone to the extent of putting me on what's the name of the character in Lord of the Rings that's like
Oh, the
decrepit?
Gollum one. That's
Gollum.
brilliant, Nathan.
Gollum.
How
me
much
into Gollum.
effort have they
I've
done?
got to see this.
Well, I loved it. I was like, oh man, someone's going to go to that much effort.
Dude, they totally miscast Smeagol, you should have been the original Smeagol.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I saw it and I was like, oh, I love that. That's great. I'll screen cap a few of the good angles because it was literally an animated video with my face as that guy or whatever he is, that creature.
Proper
Well,
good
you are the
deep fake,
most
isn't it?
you are the most hated flat earthers, you know?
Again,
It's a
Blackroyd?
newer deepfake technology, and if you use it, it works really creepily well.
Yeah, cool. What did you say, Flatsoid? Sorry.
I say, aren't you the most hated flat earth or something?
I don't know.
Or is it the
Anthony said
worst? Or is it the worst? Something like that.
Yeah, I think it was worst flat earther, something like that. Anthony was telling me. I don't know.
Really? When did this statistic come out?
You'd have to ask Anthony. I don't know. He informs me of this stuff. Like I care.
Riley.
Riley will be jealous because he didn't get it. That's why.
That's probably true. He's informing me because he cares about this stuff. He wants to be the most loathed, most infamous flat earther.
Flatzoid. Riley's texted me. He said, ask him something in French to see if he can answer without delay. Riley was dodgy on you.
That's why I said in French, I said, can you please stop being a fake French person? And then didn't reply until after I said to you, I just asked him if he could say that in French. And then he replied, I was like, he's fake.
Nice. Yeah. I didn't know though that a pufferfish is continue with it though. It was just a nice picture.
I thought that was brilliant. I thought you were a genius there. I thought you was a clever baller there. That's why I asked it you in French just to see. And you said no.
I mean, the fact that he managed to hide.
Pufferfish?
The fact he managed to hide such a strong accent is just beyond me. I mean, if there's any other Indians out there that can do the same, then, you're welcome to try.
That's hilarious.
Well, I almost did Japanese, but yeah, then I would have talked about sushi and not fish.
You know what sucks is that I should speak French fluently, but I don't because I'm Haitian. So I grew up with it in the house. So I can understand it, but I can't speak it fluently like that. Because my parents would speak to me, or my grandparents would speak to me in French, and then I would respond in English because they understood, like a weird thing. So
that's pretty cool. So your mind was like automatically translating straight away, and you were replying in English. That's pretty good.
My family wouldn't teach Italian because when they first came over, there used to be signs, no dogs or Italians allowed. They kind of
What?
straight away from it. Yeah, it's in Brooklyn, and my uncle had to change his name just to get a prize fight from Paul DeChico to Paul Dixon, just to get a fight. We're talking back in the 30s and 40s.
Speaking of foreign countries, what about flat Earth in terms of its prevalence or lack thereof, whichever may be true, in places that are non-English speaking? Other than, I think it was 2018, I'm going to say, with Bilu, and that was from South America, and we got to see, although most of it was in English also, the documentary had been translated, I think, but, I mean, obviously we're in British YouTube land, or English-speaking YouTube land, I should say. So
there's flat Earth scenes all over the place. France,
I think you'll be
Italy,
surprised.
even Indonesia, and like places that we rarely even consider. So yeah, there's flat earthers all over the place. There's just not a lot of things that really get forwarded to some kind of mainstream level that they would catch our attention.
Well,
but
I mean, Indonesia is a place I've been to Indonesia. Why would you say Indonesia is somewhere we wouldn't even consider? I've been there.
okay,
Nathan,
well, just
in
because
Brazil,
that
there's
happened
11
to come
million
up
flat earthers.
like a week ago.
Hold on, I've got two.
Somebody from there.
Go on, Flatside.
I'm saying, well, in where was it now? Brazil, where they're just Portuguese speaking, is actually just, they said 11 million flat earthers already.
How do they know that?
It was in the news, actually, media.
Oh, right, it must be true then.
How dare they not lie?
Okay, so a reported statistic of millions of flat earthers in Brazil. Okay, I did hear something reported from Mark Sargent about precisely that with a football team or something similar.
Oh yeah, Flat FC or something.
Yeah, flat
That's
earth.
better.
That's the one in Spain. That was a Spanish football.
Oh,
Yeah.
was that Spanish? Okay, maybe not then. But like I say, there's no way of the cross pollination's never going to happen. Not just because of the language barrier, because the media barrier. You know, what do you get?
Well, not just that. It's just that for every other language and group of flat earthers they also have their own rumpuses, their own dollar fanatics that really get in their way too. And that's also part of the reason why a lot of people don't really like to put it all out there. You know, they like to kind of keep it private, keep their own little streams, their own groups. Because then you don't get all the rumpuses and all the baller trenchers rolling all over you and making shitty videos about you all the time.
Or get you fired.
Are you saying that if you were a South American flat earther, for the sake of argument, you'd have not only a South American equivalent of the rumpus, but you'd also have all of the standard fare Joe Coffee and Betty Breadmaker making rebuttal videos that are below the belt by any other standard because they're flat earthers? It doesn't matter that they're in a different part of the world. The rhetoric could be the same. Therefore, they'd suffer the exact same stuff that we do. Is that what you're saying? Yes, Nathan.
Well, in Germany,
Yeah.
they got
Déjà
Flat Earth games.
Déjà de interrumpir. Déjà de interrumpir. Déjà de interrumpir. Déjà de interrumpir.
You're being the whatever Mexican rumpus, right?
Yeah, Spanish. That's basically Spanish saying, "Stop interrupting me. Stop interrupting me."
Right.
But they have those too, I'm pretty sure.
Again, Flatsoid?
So
Professor Poisson?
I say in Germany, they actually made a Flat Earth game because they're trying to make fun of Flat Earthers.
The game? Do you mean like a televised parlor game with questions or a board
Actual
game?
game.
A board game?
Virtual game. No, computer game.
Oh, a computer. Who's making that noise in Discord? Arwin or 10th? One of you.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. That was me.
Yeah. Okay. So they made a computer game taking the Mickey out of Flat Earth. I think I've seen a game that I was actually pretending to be in. In other words, somebody had made an animation of a simulation of a game. It might have been a real game, but there was various characters in it. It was like a role-playing game or something like that. And there was all sorts of characters. Me, Anthony, Mark Sargent, Patricia Steer. You know, we were all characters in this role-playing game on a video. This is ages ago, but you can probably still find it on YouTube.
You see, this is the only way they can actually rebut anything, because in a virtual world, they can say what they want. But in reality, they can't even come to talk to us.
How do we find out in terms of the communities that have got presumably the same circumstances as us?
I guess communication.
Wow, that's all tied down and heavily controlled, and you know that was the case. We'd already be communicating with them, right?
do you remember that guy from Israel on the beach?
Yes.
Yeah, so they're all over, and until they come and let us know where they are, I mean, we're not going to have an actual count, but they are all over because they're in different languages. When you go to, like I've seen Flat Earth, you know, Germany, Flat Earth, Israel, Flat Earth. So it's growing.
I'm just intrigued because it just seems like it's progressively being normalized. Now, the tone is subtly different now than it was even a year ago. When Black Swan first came out, obviously there was still a certain tone that disseminated its way to us. But only a couple of days ago, Anthony put up a video of something that was on mainstream TV. Now, I don't even have a TV, but things like that still come my way when Anthony trimmed it out and said, here's some guy at a bar in a soap opera talking about conspiracies, and then the person he's talking about it with says, well, you think the Earth's flat? And he says, well, no, I don't really think it's flat. I'm just suspicious about why they don't fly over Antarctica. In other words, so casually dropped in where it wasn't even necessary. You just think, it's being normalized. Why? I wonder why people are being softened up to this.
That's because it's gaining traction on the real front, which is the debates and people talking. We've had two individuals from, acquaintances, let's say from 20 years ago. One is 20 years ago. One is something like maybe 15 years ago. One came through my son, one came through my wife, and they said, hey, can I ask you a question? And my son and my wife both said, yeah. And they said, what do you think of this flat earth stuff? And they smiled and said, well, then they went into it. So yeah, now we're being asked about
it. If there was a scale, I'd be looking at how normal it was becoming, as opposed to how many people know about it. Because it just seems like it's like a virus. It's like some parasitic information that's weaseled its way through society at a fairly rapid pace. And now you very rarely come across people who haven't heard of it.
Yeah, they both said that people around them think they're crazy and they don't have too many people to talk to. And they were happy that we were open to it and that, can we contact 10th Man? Sure, go ahead.
I think we're talking at cross purposes.
Well, it is going to happen, cross purposes. One side hates it and wants to make fun of it or mock it or destroy it. The other side says, hey, all we're asking is good questions, and all you guys do is come back with bad answers.
What I'm talking about, 10th, is 2 or 3 years ago, if you went out and mentioned this subject to somebody, the chances are they'd never have even considered it at all, other than maybe the little bit of rhetoric that goes into ridiculing flat earth as an old concept in school. Or, I don't know, Captain Cook story or whatever. But beyond that, they throughout their adult life, if they're adults, they're not going to have given it any consideration. This is 3 years ago. Now, that's not true anymore. There's a very, very high probability that if you just go up to somebody and start talking about flat earth or dropped it into conversation, they'd have heard of it already. Someone else would have mentioned it, they'd know someone who's a flat earther, etc., etc., etc.
Well, that's the good thing, right? It's moving forward, and the more they mock us, in reverse, we're over the target, and they think they're over the target, but we're really over the target because they're talking about it.
I think those people that have heard of it, most of them don't understand the scientific argument that flat earthers make.
I agree with that. The fear that people have, the fear that people have that I could say I've gauged in my time in this arena is if they've lied to me about this, what else have they lied to me about? That is an awesome thing when someone realizes that.
Well, when you realize that they can lie about this, you can't help but realize that they can be lying about anything and everything.
And that's where the critical thinking skills come in, or the lack thereof. Oh, you're still a sheep? Why don't you think for yourself? Ask questions.
I don't think so. People have got selective reasoning. If they're told by the news that it's flat, they'll accept it because the news has said it, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that they'll decry all news. So, for example, only today, this guy called Professor Poisson started declaring how many people in South America were flat earthers based on a news report. In other words, people will still find their way to the news if there's a bias to be fulfilled. In this case, statistics for flat earthers, right?
Yeah, but you're talking about sheep, metaphorically speaking, for people who aren't critically thinking why the guy's feeding them all this food later, because it's going to be meat. It's like, wake
Exactly.
up, people.
That would be. That's what I'm saying. It's not a danger that people find out the obvious and observable nature of their reality, i.e., it's flat. The problem for the powers that should not be, if there was to be one, would be people starting to exercise decent cognition, people starting to utilize critical thinking, because then that's a problem. Because then they go, hang on, why are you asking me for this, that, and the other? Why are you restricting me from this, that, and the other? They start asking questions. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
well, they're afraid of that, because then you'll know your rights come from the creator, not from government.
I've gone silent because that's a different debate.
Oh, it's very much connected to this, because yeah, as long as the government could be the spokesperson for your paradigm and say these rules, these laws, these conditions, then they rule you. But once you realize all your rights are given by the creator, then it's like government has to fall in step with laws that don't infringe on that. And government hates that. Government wants control. Government wants to be God, small g.
Yeah, that'll agree.
Yeah,
with
most people get their morals
Well-
from the legal world of what's right and wrong by what's illegal and what's legal.
And where'd the legal
Yeah,
world
but
come up?
a lot of people want to accept the cognitive dissonance as a good thing. I mean, I actually spoke to someone this morning that told me they're happy they got cognitive dissonance because then they can live in the world that they live in. Actually accept it. It's like, what?
Telling me somebody said that they would accept the contradictions and the simultaneous holding of both positions, i.e. cognitive dissonance, just in spite of the cognitive pain that does cause, because they want to hold on to a globe. They admitted it in that much detail.
Yep, exactly. Telling me
this?
straight, cognitive dissonance is good for them.
Who is this?
I'll actually send it to you in Master B.
You mean you've got a tape recording of this?
Messaging. I'll send it to you.
Okay. Oh, on messages. Okay. Fair enough. I'm surprised to hear it. I mean, I know people concede a little bit more frequently. I mean, it's like one a year rather than one every 2 years now. I mean, it's really ramping up. Those concessions are coming thick and fast from the globe believers.
The
Go on.
majority of the ones that I know don't want to talk about it. Again, the majority of people that know me and I know them hear through others. Did you know he believes in the flat earth? And then it's like they want to avoid that topic. When I'm just like, I could care less if you want to talk about it or you want to talk about it. But if you're going to talk about it, then let's talk about it. I don't want to waste my time with someone who doesn't have ears to hear either. I'm not going to force it on anybody. So it's just, they're scared. I mean, now I'm the opposite, because I'd say, you actually believe this? And, say it's another subject. I would go to my friends and say, I heard that I would be upfront and right there and say, well, tell me why. Not from make fun of them, but tell me why you believe this. What did you see? What happened? I mean, I like to investigate. I'm not worried about what I'm going to find out. I just want to know why people say things or why they believe things. But you got to treat them right. You got to ask questions. You got to, do your research. But if they don't even want to talk about it because it's such a hot potato, flat Earth, because if I go there, everyone's going to think I'm crazy. Oh, because of the way that they've designed the system to where anyone who dares question them is crazy.
Yeah, you need it to be told to the masses on a television screen.
Exactly.
Did we finish housekeeping yet?
Yeah, ages ago. The thing is, though, in modern times, it's less about the consensus view that you're told from the television screen or the newspaper, and more about the court of public opinion on social media. Now, don't get me wrong, they obviously have their fingers in the control of the information on social media, but there's still a core of social media that is in existence.
Yeah.
So consensus has a way of changing in a way that it didn't before. You had Facebook and Twitter and Bebo and
Yeah, this
And
social media is the modern day town hall or
That's what I'm
pub,
saying.
and look what
as it used to be.
It's exactly that's exactly what I'm saying, Rams.
right. And so now you see that it got out of hand, and they don't want it to be that open and free, so they shadow ban and they put up, oh, this is hate speech or this, that, you can't run this video, and it's not. They're trying to control it now.
I don't see it in that way. I honestly don't see it being controlled beyond the rhetoric just being in place when I've been born. In other words, there's no evil overlord that's implementing this heliocentric deception in my lifetime. And I don't want to, I can't go this far. Maybe I can. I'll just do it anyway. The people who came a generation before me, I think the same could be said of them. They were just born into this deception. Now, you go any further back than that, and you say, yeah, there's probably people who've perpetrated this deception at that time. And there's only, obviously, there's exceptions to the rule. Astronauts, you know, notwithstanding astronauts, who are definitely liars. There's no two ways about that. But, you know, beyond that, like I say, it's not, it's a different time in terms of how people form their opinions. And, you know, maybe that's why it's having to be slipped into mainstream media in the way that it is, just to normalise the fact that a lot of people are thinking about or know about Flat Earth. So if EastEnders are talking about it, it's like, oh, okay, so it is normalised now that people are talking about this. It is something that EastEnders know about, i.e. the soap that dictates my worldview. Doesn't dictate mine, by the way.
Well, they didn't have the internet. They didn't have 24-hour news. They didn't have this big world at their doorstep with an iPhone or an Android, where they're bombarded with events that are true and events that aren't true in order to control, you know, the masses. And so now you bring that into the mix instead of a town that went to the grocery store. Oops, there was none. So farmers and everybody bartered. Now we've gone to, by the time you get to the grocery store, how many placards on buses have you seen? How many billboards have you seen? What is the radio on? Is there how many commercials? What are they selling all the time? So it's a whole different world that we live in than a few generations ago. And now it's got its upside because we can do shows like this, but it's also got its downside because they could put us all in a corner and say we're crazy and not allow your subscription count to be true or your likes, or they're just scared. They're scared that they can't control it.
But I don't think any of that's true.
Oh, I'm seeing it.
Nah. You have to
I'm
show
saying
me
it.
after
My
the
wife
live
got
show.
shadow banned for just posting to a bunch of her woman friends stories.
Just a
It's
person
nonsense.
behind a keyboard that said, I don't want that comment, and then banned you.
No, I'm talking about not. My wife had a little group of ladies that said, "Hey, we like it that you keep sending us these alerts, and I'm too busy raising a child, blah blah blah." And so that little group grew, and then next thing you know, she gets shadow banned. It was what? Who's doing that? Why are they doing that?
Yeah, okay. I'm still skeptical.
Well, it happened, and it's happening, and people are telling me about it, and I've experienced it.
I don't know. When I see my numbers going down, I'm being naive when I say I'd like to trust them. In other words, if I can see a decline, I can react to the statistics and do something about it. Well, I don't know. If they weren't real, then that would be pointless, and there wouldn't be an effect after me doing more work. And there is. I can see it. Normally, it's in.
No,
It's
you're
just,
right there. I'm not saying you're not going to get a result for something you do, because I remember the time where you had to just crank out these videos and keep it going. So that's going to have an effect. It's not a complete shutdown, and so you offset it by doing more work.
Well, yeah, precisely. It's reactionary. If I see a decline, I'll be like, okay, well, I better do more work. So I have a very consistent view count, but I can only say that because I obviously, by saying it, I'm implying that I trust the statistics. So when I hear people saying, oh, this is that channel's view count or subscriber count and it's changed in this way, that way, or the other way, and it's a conspiracy, I just think, no, there's normally an explanation behind some of these things that you can dig into and find out about that will be easy to explain. And the reason I think that the statistics are true is because there's quite a lot of money involved. So if I take me and the amount I get paid out of the equation and just look at someone that's far more consequential, which is the advertisers, they're going to be demanding the statistics to be accurate if they're handing over money for adverts. And their advert rate is going to be based on the statistics of any given channel being accurate. So if they're inaccurate, and I've got, I don't know, people sometimes claim that there's more people watching than there actually is. And I just say, no, I don't think that's the case. You know, you can gauge how popular it is in terms of live viewers by how many live viewers you've got, not by your assumption that, oh, well, actually there's 200 people watching when I look at the number count now and it's 123. Well, no, that's 123 live viewers. Excellent. Thank you very much, all of you watching live, by the way. Please share the show. But yeah, the point is that I just take that as being the number. Now, I can beg and plead for people to share all day long, but that's not a very good show. But, you know, the people who go around saying, well, no, the numbers are being hidden, there's more, there's 200 watches, I just think that's nonsense.
Well, we had a recent election here, as you know, and the videos that are for the new president are getting so many dislikes that they stopped the like share button.
That's not true.
Nathan, right?
See, that's not true.
That's hilarious.
No. That's not true. See, that's an assumption you've made. That's incorrect.
No, they're admitting to it. They shut down the likes. They won't let you even like or dislike anymore.
Yeah, across the
it was
whole
so bad.
platform. No, that's not true. Across the whole
Why
platform.
is it not true?
I'm trying to tell you, but I just keep getting rumpused. I know what's going on with the likes and dislikes. They are trialing a system where in time they will only show likes as opposed to dislikes. So currently that system runs on the comments. So if you try and dislike a comment, it'll show the highlighted dislike thumb, but it won't actually register a number. So you only see the amount of likes on the comments. Well, they're trialing that system with certain YouTubers. So on my second channel, for the sake of argument, I can still see likes and dislikes on every single video, both mine and people I watch. Whereas on this channel, on Nathan Oakley 1980, that we're broadcasting on live now, I don't see either on mine or anybody I watch. I don't get to see the likes or dislikes. But that's because the system's currently being fiddled with. But that trial may or may not turn into a YouTube-wide thing. Probably will. But ultimately speaking, it's a bit screwy at the moment. But that doesn't mean that it's because of a specific example you give with a presidential like-dislike ratio not wanting to be shown. That's not the reason. I've also heard it attributed to Amber Heard, who's going through a court case with Johnny Depp currently. And because some of the things that she's putting out wouldn't be liked, that umbrella guy who was reporting on it ascribed the removal of likes and dislikes to that court trial. And you're like, what? You're having me on? You're like, I can understand the knock-on effect as a consequence, but for the fact that the likes and dislikes, all those sorts of arguments would stand. But ascribing it to it like it's causal is, oh my God. And you can do it with anything. You've done it with the president. He did it with bloody Johnny Depp. I mean, I could do it with Flat Earth. You know
I'm not trying to
overgeneralize, though. But you're overgeneralizing here, thinking that it can't happen because it's not happening to you. So I'm saying it's happening, but it's not so happening everywhere to where you can generalize it to be true in every instance. But it is happening, and you can't discount it.
And if I know the reasons and whys and wherefores.
How are they deciding which videos to allow dislikes and likes on or not?
It's going to be all of them potentially across YouTube after the trial, but currently it's just a trial. Anyway,
I don't even know what trial you're talking about. I'm just talking about stuff that I'm seeing on articles and YouTube related. So in the world of deception, not everything is at the same deception rate. Yeah, if you know what I'm saying. So
yeah, I
you're
know what
gonna
you're
have-
saying,
well,
but
it's not
I'm trying
happening
to say
me.
that not everything is going to be part of a deception. There's often other reasons why things occur. And in this instance, I don't think people's attribution of various causes to the likes dislikes thing on YouTube has any validity. Anyway, with that, I'll say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the like button, commented, shared, subscribed, maybe joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. Also, below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either Premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.